Ryan Reznor here, live from Wrestlecade 2022 for the House of Kayfabe, and I am sitting here with the greatest man to ever live, Austin Aries. How are you, sir?
What's up, Rez? How you doing, man?
I'm feeling good,
Crazy
man.
in here.
It is absolutely crazy in here. I think 10,000 people is what they're saying.
It looks like it. It's been pretty packed all day, man. It's been pretty packed. A lot of triple XL black T-shirts in this room right now.
There sure are.
Yeah, man.
I think I'm wearing one, actually.
You're
but
wearing
you know
one.
what? I hardly ever see you at these conventions. You do not come to these conventions often.
No, I don't do a lot of conventions. I kind of pick my spots here and there.
Just like in wrestling.
Just like in wrestling. You don't want to oversaturate yourself.
I don't know. I think the wrestling world needs a little bit of an oversaturation of Austin Aries.
Oh, you might be alone in that opinion.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I know that all the residents of the House of Kayfabe agree with me. We want to see more Austin Aries, and we don't actually know how to see more Austin Aries.
Right.
Do you have any insight on that?
I really don't, man. Like, I'm just... I haven't done a lot of wrestling. I've done some stuff with the Control Your Narrative project. Take some independent bookings here and there. I was just in Saudi Arabia for a week. Did some shows there, in Spain. Been doing a lot of, more international traveling. And, I'm not sure that I'm trying to get back to a full-time wrestling schedule. I kind of enjoy my life right now. Obviously, if the right opportunity presented itself, I would listen, but I'm happy, man. I'm happy doing what I'm doing.
Have you had any conversations with, say, AEW?
Not for a while back, but, the conversations I had was with Cody. So that tells you how long ago that was.
Right.
So no, I haven't. And frankly, I keep up, and obviously I enjoy a lot of what they're doing. A lot of my colleagues are there, and happy for them. But man, they got so much talent. What would they even do with me? You can always find something to do with me, but
absolutely,
they certainly don't need me. They've got more talent than they have TV time right now.
Man,
so.
I think we disagree about everything, because I think they need you. I think they definitely need you. Well, you are in the hot seat right now. And that means that I want to hear a juicy story. And the story that I want to hear from you is, how exactly did those last few weeks go down in the WWE? I know when you showed up on WWE television, I was ecstatic, completely excited for what was about to happen.
Right.
And then it all kind of went south, and I always wanted to hear the story of exactly how did this go south.
I don't know that it's that juicy of a story, that there was no scandal, there was no incident. I finished up my program at the time with Neville. I had been working through some neck injuries, some herniated discs in my neck that I was kind of working through at the time. And basically, I want to say we were in Japan. I think we did a show over there. And I came back and just talked to one of the doctors and said, hey, this is kind of getting bad, so I know this program just finished up. I don't think they have anything for me creatively, so it might be a good time to give me a little break from the ring. And so that was what happened. We decided to give me about a month off, rehab my neck. So I started rehabbing, and then the next day I got a call and said I was being released. And there was no reason behind it. It was just they didn't have anything for me. So
no conversation, nothing. Just you're getting
and
released.
that's the way that this business works, And the reality is, if there was a reason, they might not tell you anyway, right?
Right.
That's just kind of how it is. So it is what it is. I was a little shocked, but I was very happy for my time there. 18 months. I did a lot in 18 months. I packed a lot of good stuff in there. Enjoyed my time on commentary. Obviously enjoyed, getting to walk out in front of 70,000 people for WrestleMania. Having one of the best matches of the night in a lot of people's opinions. And so I have nothing bad to say, man. It just, it was what it was. I think I get a lot more disappointment from fans that say they're disappointed in my run there than I actually have personally for myself. So nothing bad to say.
Well, I think that when you're, being one of your fans that's seen your run there, I'm one of the disappointed ones. And I think I was disappointed because I expected a rocket to be strapped to your ass and sit right to the top, and that just didn't happen.
Yeah, I never thought that would be the case. So you got to understand, man. Let me give it to you from their perspective. At the time, first of all, I'm under 5'10", and I'm under 200 pounds. So those two things, those aren't exactly what they look for when they think of their superstars. At the time, I'm 38 years old, so I'm not a spring chicken, and I made my name myself. So they don't own my name. They don't own the copyright to my name, the trademark to my name.
Right.
So I'm a self-made, 38-year-old, under 5'10", 200-pound guy. That's not what to them. They don't look at that and go, "That's money."
Right.
Okay. So there was. I was basically brought in there because at the time they were trying to bring established guys in to help, build NXT. I understood that was what I was being brought in for.
I felt like you were next on the road that AJ Styles paved through the WWE, because no one ever thought AJ was going to go there. No one ever thought AJ was going to do what he did.
Yeah.
And then when he did it, I was like, oh, next up, Austin Aries, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, I just from a business standpoint, I realized, what the reality is of that environment and what they're looking for. And listen, there's only the hardest slot to fill in this business, and might give me some flack, but please understand what I'm trying to say here. To be an under 5'10" white guy is there's only so many of those spots.
Right.
Right? I mean, and listen, and this is the reality of entertainment, is they want to fit all the demographics. Well, there's more under 5'10" white guys. It's probably like there's 100 of us, 100,000 of us, all fighting for the same 3 or 4 spots.
Right.
So you get your Daniel Bryans, you get your AJ Styles, and then the rest of us kind of get pigeonholed in the 205 Live.
I don't see how Austin Aries can get pigeonholed when you are on the same level as those guys, and that's what upset me as a fan.
I appreciate it, but again, there's also a lot that goes into this behind the scenes, and I've always struggled with the behind the scenes aspect of this industry, right? The politics and the corporate setting for me can be a little difficult. I always say I'm a why sir in a place where they want yes sirs.
Right.
And so sometimes I ask too many questions, or I offer up my opinion at a time where it's not wanted. And I've had to learn that that not everywhere's going to be a fit for me, and vice versa. Every place it won't be a fit. So
I can understand that completely. I
and
can definitely relate.
So I am who I am, man. I can assimilate to a certain point, but I am who I am.
When I seen AJ get what he got for the matches he was putting on with Nakamura, and then I seen Daniel Bryan, all the amazing matches he did in Ring of Honor, and then you were on your way up, and I was like, they've obviously paid attention to Austin Aries versus Bobby Roode, the greatest match in Impact history, in my opinion, and they're going to do that in the WWE, and then Bobby's still floundering too, and now you're gone.
Yeah, but shit, Bobby's had a paycheck now for how many years?
He has. Because they don't want to let him go. They know he's too good to let go.
Yeah, and also and Bobby's really smart at playing the behind the scenes game of just sometimes on one hand they say the squeaky wheel gets the oil, but other times you just kind of want to not be seen and not be heard.
Right.
Just kind of blend into the background and not be noticed, because that's sometimes the key to longevity is not sticking out, and Bobby's money, and I would have loved to even reformed our tag team there, which now he's doing with Dolph Ziggler, good pairing, but I think too, got to understand that they're their own separate universe, and they don't necessarily want to rehash, at least at that time, what's been done other places. They want everything to kind of become their own identity. So AJ Styles he's an anomaly because he is that good, and he also just right time, right place. Going to Japan, I think, was one of the smartest things he did. Post his TNA run.
Absolutely.
To kind of rebrand himself, to give him that on top of, and that's what they were able to really capitalize on when he came in, right? And so, but yeah, man, he's a special, unique cat, and not everyone's going to be able to follow that mold,
Right. So the door's still open, though. If WWE called you today, you'd still be open to possibly going back.
I mean, we're always open. It's difficult to see that scenario play out. Do you
think it would be different now that Vince is not in charge and Triple H is in charge? If it would be different for you?
I'm not sure how different it would or wouldn't be. You know, there's a level of commitment to taking on that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's a full-time commitment. You know, you're, for all intents and purposes, you are owned, you know, when you sign that dotted line.
The performance center.
Yeah, and I just don't know if, with where I'm at in my life, if that's something that I want for my life. So I always say, like, they probably wouldn't want to pay me the money that I would want
to do it.
To have to go back and assume that lifestyle again. Because they don't see that value in me, you know, and that's fair, like, I get it. But it's just, I know it, the first time around, I didn't know what it was going to be. But now going back, as I know what I would be signing up for, and man, I'm just not sure that it's a fit. I obviously would listen if there was a good idea, if there was a reason for me to be there, if they saw value in actually having me there for what I can bring to the table. Of course, I would listen.
Of course,
but man, I really value my freedom. I really value being able to.
Peace of mind is something you can't pay for.
Yeah, I'm going to go to Spain for a month. Why? Because I can. You know, and I enjoy that. You know, and that's just kind of where I'm at in my life right now. Yeah.
Well, that is awesome, and I can't thank you enough for joining us here on the hot seat at the House of Kayfabe here from Wrestlecade 2022.
Where's your partner at?
Stephen P. New, I'm not sure where he's at. He's running around here somewhere in a suit, shaking hands and kissing babies and all that good stuff.
All right.
But I want to ask you one more question before I let you go back, and that is about your book. You just finished a book. Actually, I just bought it. I can't wait to read it. I'm not a vegetarian myself, but
it's okay.
You are a vegetarian.
Vegan, actually, the whole dirty
with the whole vegan route. And, you know, it's really impressive to be in as good a shape as you are and no protein from meat. It's a new world.
It's really not, and so I could do 2 hours on this, but I'll try to keep this short and simple. Do you look like a lion or a tiger, or do you look like a gorilla?
I look more like a gorilla.
Okay, gorillas are frugivores. They only eat fruit, some seeds and some nuts. No problem with their protein, no problem with their strength or their muscle. So after 20 years of really trying to educate myself and continually educate myself about food, I've really come to the conclusion that human beings' optimal food is raw fruits, some vegetables, some nuts, and some seeds. Not cooked foods, not animal products. So I'm going to take everybody on a little scenario, all right? I want you to envision this. And because we can do science, we can do studies, but any study you show me that says one thing, I can show you a study that says the opposite thing, right? Studies, we can all cherry pick studies. Screw studies. Let's go back to the law of the land. Let's go back to nature. So envision that you're in this big field, okay?
Okay.
And you just have what you have at your disposal right here, right now. And this field is abundant. It has a ton of wildlife. It's got tons of foliage and greens. It's got tons of lush fruits. And it's got nuts and seeds. So you have everything you could possibly want. Now think of what's going to be the most attainable and the most appetizing to feed yourself. Are you going to catch one of these wildlife with your bare hands?
Probably not.
Kill it with your teeth? Sink your teeth into its jugular to kill it? Strip it apart and eat it raw?
Probably not.
Does it sound appealing?
Doesn't.
Okay, are you going to grab a bunch of leaves from the trees and eat a bunch of leaves until you're full and chew through all the fiber of the leaves?
Probably not.
Probably not. Are you going to grab some nuts and seeds and try to break them with your teeth and try to chew through the nuts or the seeds that are unhulled?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Are you going to grab a watermelon and break it open with your hands and eat it?
Absolutely.
Grab some bananas from the tree and eat them, or grab an apple?
Yeah, for sure.
So when you strip us down and you look at what we're supposed to be eating, that scenario describes it as clearly as I think I could.
Yeah.
Right? When you go back to the law of the land, when you go back to nature, that's what's meant for us, is fruit. Raw fruit, not killing the enzymes by cooking things, not eating animal products. Really, I think our optimal diet is raw fruit, some vegetables, some seeds and nuts. You got to think fruits. Avocados are fruit, tomatoes are fruit, peppers are fruit, squashes are fruit, cucumbers are fruit. So anything with a seed or a pit is a fruit. So it's not just necessarily sweet fruits. So fruits is a large group. So the people that I've followed and studied that have been doing this now for 30, 40 years, and then their 60s and their 70s, their health is at a level far exceeding the majority of people that we see. So it's also anecdotal when you look at the people that have been following this. They're thriving. So again, this is my philosophy. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. I think you can really look at that. Again, that's just one scenario that when you break it down, it goes, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then when you start breaking down the way our body's structured, the length of our intestines, the pH balance of our saliva, of our stomach acid, none of this would indicate that we're supposed to be heavy carnivores. Again, we look more like gorillas than we do lions and tigers. Lions and tigers are carnivores.
Right.
We're not carnivores.
So you eat nothing cooked?
No, I still do. I eat cooked food, but I'm skewing more and more and more to just raw foods. And the more cooked foods I eat, the more I crave cooked foods. The more processed foods I eat, the more I crave processed foods. But when I stick to that natural fruit, seeds and nuts, I feel great, man. My energy level's amazing. I have no digestive issues. But the key to that is making sure I'm still consuming enough calories. Again, if we don't eat enough calories, we're going to be nutrient deficient, right? So it's not about protein. If you eat enough calories, then you're going to be satisfied. So yeah, it's not easy to eat 2,800 calories of raw fruits and vegetables and seeds and nuts, but you can do it once you're mindful of that.
So what's your day like as far as your eating habits? Like on a normal day, Austin Aries eats what for breakfast?
So if I'm trying to follow the mostly frugivore raw diet, so I'll have a smoothie in the morning. I might put 10 bananas in there. 10 bananas, some other, some blueberries. I'll do some hemp seeds or even some hemp protein just to get a little extra protein. And that'll be it. So I can pack 1,000 calories into that smoothie.
Into that breakfast.
Yeah, and I'll drink that over 30 minutes, and then I'll go work out a little bit after that.
So then what happens at lunch?
I don't necessarily always have a lunch. I might just have this big meal, like I say 11 o'clock. 'Cause I'll get up about 8. I don't eat right away. I wait a few hours. 11 o'clock, have this big smoothie. That'll be, almost half my calories for the day in that smoothie. And then I'll have an evening meal, say around 5 or 6. That might be something like 4 or 5 avocados with a bunch of cucumbers and peppers, cut up and just eat that. Or I might make a big salad, but with that salad it'll be like, maybe a little bit of cabbage, mangoes, apples,
what do you do for dressing?
Tahini, which is ground sesame seed. So again, I try to stay away from all the seed oils, right? So, yeah, tahini and lemon juice. Or you blend avocado and lemon juice to make like an avocado dressing.
Sure.
A lot of the vegan food now that's being pushed on people is just processed garbage. It's seed oils. It's processed, corn or wheat or soy. Like, I don't think that that's optimal health either, right? And so they're trying to fool people and to push them on this vegan diet thinking that's going to be better for them. And they're going to be just as sick because they're eating garbage. They're eating processed seed oils and all this other garbage. We want to get back to whole foods. Right? Things that aren't processed, things that we can eat. And again, going back to meat, if we were true carnivores, we could just eat it. We wouldn't have to cook it. There's no other carnivore that has to cook its meat before it eats it. That's just us. Right? And then again, I don't see a bunch of fat, depressed raccoons running around. I don't see a bunch of fat, depressed squirrels when I look in my backyard. The only species that is fat and depressed and full of disease are human beings. And then dogs and cats, because they're eating the food that we made for them. That's not what they're supposed to be eating. So now they have the same health problems we have because it's big business. Again, healthcare is a $1 trillion industry. Now think of this. If we were really supposed to eat fruit, if we all decided, no, we're supposed to be eating fruit. That's our optimal diet choice. And now all these trees that we plant were all fruit trees. Did we not just solve world hunger?
You did.
Did we not just get rid of the agricultural industry? And grocery stores and starvation and poverty, food would be abundant everywhere.
Yeah,
makes you think. Well, why isn't that the case?
That does make you think. It definitely does.
Yeah, man. I see a very interesting perspective of the world that I live in. I know not everyone agrees with it, and that's okay. You don't have to agree with it because I'm not saying that I know. My favorite saying is I'm smart enough to know that I'm not smart enough to know. It's why I question everything. So when people go, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, well, why wouldn't I be?
Right.
Me leaving open the idea that some of these things could be true, I don't think that makes me stupid. I think that makes me smart.
Critical thinking.
Yes. The man who says that he knows everything and knows the truth about everything, to me, that's the gullible one.
For sure.
Right? So, yeah, do I believe every conspiracy theory? No, but do I entertain the idea that some of these things could have some truth behind them? Absolutely.
You know what my favorite conspiracy theory is?
Give it to me.
Paul McCartney is fucking dead. There's no way he's not dead.
And why is that? What's the reason behind that?
You don't know about the conspiracy?
No.
Okay, so apparently Paul McCartney died in a car wreck right in the height of the Beatles about to get famous.
Gotcha.
And they were on their way. Well, they pretty much were famous, but not famous like they are now.
So who took his place?
A guy named Billy Shires.
Okay.
He's gone. No one can find him. He's disappeared completely.
Right.
And he was a studio musician, and they say that he was changed spatially and put in the role of Paul McCartney. That's my favorite conspiracy theory.
It's not like it couldn't happen.
Right.
You know?
You felt like you were about to lose the Beatles, and you had a bunch of money. You might want to make a new Beatle.
Sure. I mean, whoever the guy is, he makes great music. He's very talented.
Sure, yeah. Sounds just like Paul McCartney.
And then if you go up to this dude and go, listen, so here's what we're going to propose to you.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, nobody knows who Billy Shires is. Nobody cares. However, we got a new rule for you.
Right.
It's going to be very lucrative. Yeah.
It's just like wrestling.
That's it.
We call him Fall, not Paul. Fall, fake McCart. Fall.
So instead of being the dentist, we're gonna make you the Undertaker's brother. How's that sound? He's like, yeah, that sounds like a better role.
Sounds great.
Yeah, man. Like, listen, here's one thing I truly believe is that 99% of our reality has been built on lies, on top of lies, on top of lies. I say, like, we're like, you ever see The Truman Show with Jim Carrey?
For sure.
So we're like Truman's great-great-great-grandkids, but Truman never figured it out. So now we're like 5 generations later, and you're trying to explain, like, no, it's not real. It's all made up. Like, no, that's my great-grandpa. It's like, no, it's never been real.
This is like Andrew Tate's Matrix theory.
I mean, like politics, man. Like, what's politics? Politics is pro wrestling.
It is. It's a war.
They pretend to fight each other, and then they go get paid by the same person or entity.
Yeah.
Right? And we all sit here and fight. No, it's Raw, it's SmackDown, it's Red, it's Blue. It's like, guys, like, how do you not see that this is like the biggest work there is? Right. But people think it's real.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, like, I believe, like, the world that we live in, it's not real. It's all made up. Again, go study the healthcare industry. Go study the education system and where these things came from and what purpose they serve. Right? You have to go back hundreds of years. Right? You can't go back in your lifetime. You got to go back a few lifetimes ago. And that's when you start to see a little bit of the truth.
Right.
Or how much of the truth that's actually been suppressed. You know, previous civilizations where they were even more advanced than we are now. That maybe that truth has been suppressed. So
maybe so.
I just say, like, to everyone's like, yes, keep an open mind.
Tartaria, I think.
Tartaria.
Yeah, it's supposed to be more civilized.
Burning the libraries down. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things. So, you know, just once you're under the assumption that everything you're being told is a lie, well, then you just start to process things a little differently, and you leave yourself open to the possibility that there's other truths beyond the one that you've been told. Because again, everything that we think we know is only because somebody told us.
Right.
Right. That's it. You read it in a book. Someone told you this is the truth.
You know what tells me that conspiracy theory, there's more to conspiracy theories than just entertainment, is the push to make sure that everybody who's a conspiracy theorist is labeled a moron.
Sure.
This person's a moron. Oh, they believe in this. They believe in
people.
That. It discredit people, and that movement is crazy.
This is the same thing that they did to holistic doctors in the early 1900s. If you go pre-1900s, our healthcare system was one that was very holistic. We dealt with herbs. We dealt with natural remedies, breath work, right? Like healing modalities, energy. Okay, well then what happened? Well, we started to realize we could make some of these compounds that we find in nature, we can make them in a lab. Well, then the light bulb went on for a guy named Rockefeller. He was an oil tycoon. He realized he could then sell these petroleum pills with these lab-made compounds as vitamins. So he literally hijacked the healthcare system. How did they do it? Well, all these holistic doctors were now called quacks. Pseudoscience. Right?
Right.
Snake oil salesmen. And so they started to demonize all these holistic doctors that were using all these natural healing modalities. and then he funded the AMA, and then through all of his financial, with all of his finances and how he supported all the educational institutions, he went to all these universities and said, I will keep funding you, but you can only accredit doctors who learned this as medicine, allopathy, drugs, radiation, surgery. Okay? So they pushed all the holistic healthcare doctors to the side, demonized them, and then they started teaching Big Pharma's playbook as medicine. That's Western medicine that we have now. Right? So we go, oh, you're not a doctor, what do you know? It's like, but you have to understand whose playbook doctors are learning from. Who wrote the curriculum for doctors? Pharmaceutical companies.
Right.
Right? Oil tycoon who wanted to sell his pills. So they don't really know health. They know how to they know how to treat sickness. They're glorified drug dealers.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, man, you got to go back and do some research of how we've got to where we are to start to kind of piece together some semblance of what we might call the truth. But yeah,
I really need like 3.5 hours with you. If that is possible in the future, we'd like to bring you back on the podcast. Thank you so much.
We should do one with Jim too.
Absolutely, we could do that.
I love it.
Set that up. We interviewed Jim just a few months ago, so
we
would love to bring both of you on at the same time. Maybe bridge that gap.
I'm all for it.
It'd be a great time. Thank you so much for joining me today. Brian Reznor with Austin Aries. It's the House of Kayfabe, Wrestlecade 2022. We will be right back.